Live today. There's no fancy cut in, no fancy introduction. We simply go live. We'll find out if we're all live. That looks good. That looks good. Everything looks good. Hopefully we sound good, Justin.
Yeah,
Test,
yeah.
test. All right, well, we'll get going. We are going to get started. So, hey, this is Shaun with the Atlanta Tennis Podcast that is now called the GoTennis Podcast. And if you are watching this, make sure you subscribe to the GoTennis Podcast YouTube channel. And if you are listening to this, please hit that follow button and go into your app and give us a review. We are up for the best tennis and racket and best tennis and something. We're up for an award, and we're pretty excited about it. We're shortlisted for a podcast award, and we're asking for your reviews. That would be fantastic. Today, let's skip to what's real and what's happening. This is live, and we're going to tell everybody it is Tuesday, January 21st. So we just finished watching the first half of the men's quarterfinals. And Justin Yo, this is 10 Minutes of Tennis with world-renowned tennis coach, Australian in Puerto Rico, Justin Yo. What do you want to talk about today? The Australians in Australia, who's going to win? Where do you want to start?
I think there's some pretty cool stuff though. Let's say that quarterfinals, we've got two Italians in the men's side. That's something pretty cool to talk about because back in the days, way back in the days, there used to be a lot of Italians. So it's good to see some of the Italians coming back and into this level of tennis. It will spice up that country too, which is good because there was always good tennis back in the days from that. So I always like to look at all the countries and see what's going on. And we've got two Americans as well, which is absolutely awesome. That's still happening. We've got Americans on the other side too, and the women's side as well. So definitely waving the American flag at the Australian Open again on both sides, which is really cool because we used to have all the women's and then nothing on the men's, and now we're seeing both getting this deep into the semis of the Grand Slam. So it's really good to see. I think the interesting point is how great Djokovic played against Alcaraz.
It's hard not to start there, isn't it?
It's hard not to stop there because he just looked as good as I saw him when he first went on the practice court with Murray. And I made that point when we talked weeks ago that I said he just looks so good. And it was in just a warm-up before he started the whole tournament. So he looked that good last night. What's really interesting for me is that he has to get through Alcaraz, then he'll probably have to get through Zverev, and then he has to get through Sinner. Just there alone is a Hawaiian marathon, and if he could do all three, then he deserves the Hawaiian Ironman Tennis Marathon Award, especially at his age. Yeah. Just to keep adding that in just there at the end. So if there's anyone who can do it, he's got the mental capabilities and the heart to do it. I just want to know if his body can keep up for those three players in a row that are all playing well.
Yeah, I think, was it Alcaraz was one of the few people to ever do that in the tournament, beating the 3 seed, the 2 seed, then the 1 seed when he first came out a few years ago.
At this age, to knock off, get another Australian Open Grand Slam, he has the ability. He looks good, but boy, talk about a hill. I mean, that's getting on a treadmill and just putting the incline like this.
Yeah. And he had a little bit of a tweak of I think it was one of his groin muscles at the end of the first set. I say night, yesterday, whatever you want to say. So we'll see how he recovers from that. Because again, age isn't, you trade the youth for the wisdom. And in his case, in watching that match last night, technically this morning, we saw the wisdom and we saw the youth in Alcaraz. And in this case, wisdom overtook. But I want to go back to your comment about the Italians. Sinner's obviously the favorite over de Minaur. I don't know that de Minaur's got anything that can hurt him. Love to go for the Aussie in Australia, but maybe he can pull off a miracle there. For me, the interesting one is I think Ben Shelton has a path to the semis.
He does. He's playing well, but so.
And all he's got to beat is a guy who's 55 in the world.
Sonego is got a chance too. That's why I
He
say
looks at the same opportunity. Agreed.
he's
Agreed.
got some talent, and both of them awesome. Whoever gets into the semi, whoever's in the quarters, it's great
Yeah.
that they're both there.
Yeah.
And this will boost both their careers, not just ranking wise, but it'll boost their confidence to be up this level.
Yep.
But we've talked about this. There's a big tidal wave of players coming on the male side that just can shine and have a tournament all the way through. Again, it depends on where the draw is too. So look where they've met each other, right?
Well,
So
and I was looking at Sonego's draw, and we say, hey, good for the
yeah.
Italians being in the quarterfinals. That dude has beat nobody. I mean, sure, he beat Lerner Tien. I don't want to say he's a nobody, but let's say no seeded player did Sonego have to face to get to the quarterfinals. That is the luck of the draw.
Yep. Mickelson got through too. Like he's had some big matches.
But Mickelson got a win. Mickelson
He's got
had
some good signs.
beat
Yeah.
a seeded player. So Sonego's hadn't beat anybody in the top 32 at least.
Yep. Well, from finishing touch on the men's side, I would just say I'd love to see him get there again as an old codger myself, tennis wise.
Yeah. You want
to go all the way again? Just would be just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And there should be honestly an Ironman T-shirt given to him if he can accomplish this, no question.
Pretty amazing. I agree with that. It's like watching Jimmy Connors back in the day.
The three people that most informed is Zverev, Alcaraz, and Sinner. So to beat them all at Australian Open will be just miraculous. It'll be amazing.
We'll see. So, and on the women's side, we
definitely not sleep on the next two matches.
Exactly. We're all staying up late here.
Yeah.
And Coco Gauff.
On the women's side, I was just so impressed with Madison Keys. I really hope she can stay in this same headspace and just believe. She's always had a good game. She's always had a big game. I just hope she can keep believing because she just stepped on that court yesterday, and just believed. It was amazing to watch. And it was rocky. I mean, Rebekina, I never say her name right, but anyway, she just gave it to her, and then Madison just bounced back and it just took off. It was amazing to see. So, and then, I don't think Swiatek has the juice in the final against Sabalenka if it comes to that point. Sabalenka's got some serious belief right now. But I think Madison can beat
Svitolina, yep.
Yeah, I think she can beat her for sure, and we could see Madison go a lot deeper. But to knock off, I think the Swiatek Madison Keys match would be awesome to watch because I think Madison could beat her and power her off the court if she just swung away.
Mm-hmm.
But then if she gets to Sabalenka, that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, so, and we've got a couple of Americans. Coco Gauff famously has lost now, so she's out of the quarterfinals. So you've got Badosa and Sabalenka. I guess everybody assumes Sabalenka can get past Badosa, but you never know.
Navarro will show some signs, and maybe she just goes for broke. Yeah. If she does, that'll be very interesting against Swiatek. Swiatek is very consistent, but let's see what happens. We could have an American, semi.
Yeah,
that would be pretty cool.
All-American semi, and in that case, at least one American in the final, which is cool.
That would be awesome.
I assume Coco assumed that would be her.
Yeah, Coco did, but again, I think she if she's going to go back to the what's going on, she's just got to go for that ball a bit more. She definitely very consistent, very steady, but if you look at these players that are winning, they are hitting winners. They're not just waiting for errors. So that's the only thing I would say is that she needs to start using her power swings and go for it. And you just mentioned it about power that Tsitsipas was saying that he gets powered off the court. Well, that's how I would say the women's tennis is becoming. If you don't take the swing or take the shot, it's that's the way it's going. They're getting bigger and stronger in every way. If you look at the top.
Well, if we look back a few years, that's how Venus Williams was dominant at times. That's
Yeah.
how Sharapova was dominant at times. Go back further, Lindsay Davenport. You have some of these girls that were just crushing the ball, and the other, the Ash Bardys that end up number one in the world with some creativity. They're, I don't want to say few and far between, just less of them.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a really good point to make. If you think about the Williams sisters, they were within 3 to 4 shots. Now it's within about 4 to 6 shots where you've got to take the swing. So you got to be fit enough physically and mentally to say, okay, it's after 5 or 6. There's my shot, bang. You know.
Yep.
So it's a little deeper. It goes a little longer now in rallies. But if you look at the women's side, it's definitely fast and who's knocking who off the court.
Well, before we hit an 11th minute, one last question. You got a feeling of the whole tournament? I know you watch a lot of tennis. Do you have a feeling? Are the young players coming? Is this about a new generation? Do we have a big three now? And what in the men's side? Is the women's all power? What's the feeling of the state of tennis?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. I think on the women's side, we're seeing a lot of ins and outs, which we have seen for a while since the Williams sisters are out, and which is intriguing because it keeps everybody looking for a new idol and looking for new people, and there's no just one dominant at the top. So I think again, surfaces you just never know. Like on the clay, that's where it's all going to change on the next tournament. And they all talked about the Australian Open being a little faster this year. So that's why we're probably seeing a lot more power games this year and a lot more winners. I'm sure if they looked at it over the years, we've seen a lot more winners this year than we've seen in the past. So it's been very interesting as far as that side. On the men's side, I keep saying there's just this wave of guys within the top 100 that you just never know. They'll turn these things on and then they pull off a miracle win, Or what we do have to realize too is because of that strength, the top guys had to work harder to get to the final.
Keep improving.
So it becomes now like a marathon race at the end. Who really has it in him? Because the strength that they're playing in these first few rounds is not just an easy give and take. It's like you have to gut it out and finish it off. Like if you looked at the five setters that were in the first 3-4 rounds, it was pretty impressive. So that's where I'd say there's a lot more strength on both sides at the moment.
I agree. Justin, thank you so much. This has been 10 or 12 minutes of tennis with World
Great
Round.
for spectators. Great for spectators who are paying for tickets. That's what I would say.
That's what matters, right?
Yep.
All right. Thank you, sir. This has been 10 minutes of tennis with Justin Yo. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
Cheers, mate.